What's up guys, Creighton here from logiclounge.com. Now continuing my Mac tutorial series, this week we're going to talk about settings. So you've had your Mac Pro now, you've started it up, you've unboxed it, and you're kind of getting used to everything now. But you may have seen somewhere or something, different settings, or you're wondering how to change something like the volume, or you're wondering how to change or enable expose or spaces or any of that. So actually this week we're going to go over all of the settings that you can initially set up when you get your Mac, so you can personalize it to the way that you like. So say if you don't like this background, or if you don't like everything having like a blue or a gray, you can change all of that. We're going to go through that today. All of this stuff is found in the system preferences, the system and preferences. There's two ways to get to that. If you've already just installed your Mac, started it up and everything, it's actually going to be down here on the sidebar called System Preferences down at the bottom. If it's not there, you can go over up to your Finder, which is the little search magnifying glass, and type in System Preferences, and it will pop up right there. So we're going to go into System Preferences. And there's a lot of settings to pick from. I know it'll take too long to go over all of them, but I'm just going to do a quick run through of all of them. You can skip forward, skip behind. I'm just going to go from the top to bottom. So if you want to get to a specific setting and want to know about it, feel free to skip ahead to this video, and we'll go back and find out where everything is. So let's start first with appearance. These settings are more just visual appearances. You can have a blue or a graphite tint, so if you like the blue in places or you don't, it's just kind of if you want colors or not. You can kind of see up here in the left hand corner how this turns yellow and red, and if I change that to graphite, it actually stays in gray. So it's kind of user preference as well as your highlight color as well. These settings, I like to keep them as they are. Scroll arrows together, that's fine. Jump to the next page. When you click on the scroll bar, that's fine. Or you can make it jump to the spot that's clicked, whatever easier for you and whatever you'll think you'll be using more often. Smooth scrolling, I love smooth scrolling just because you get that effect when you're, if you have a trackpad and you're actually scrolling down, it's very nice. You can click this. I choose to keep it not clicked. Double click the window title bar to minimize that. So if you do want to do that, go ahead and click that. Number of applications just to remember, so recent items. Be sure to use this setting right here. Use LCD font smoothing when available. It makes your fonts look amazing if you do have an LCD screen. If you have like a CRT, but nobody has a CRT these days, so just remember to for smoothing. Going back here, we can press the back button. Desktop and screensaver, this is probably where most of your settings are going to be, just if you find a new screensaver or if you want to set a specific desktop. It's all there for you. You can see that right now we're in the nature folder and there's a whole bunch of presets. If I click on one, it will actually show it in the background, so I can show you there. So you can click and do whatever you want. So let's say we want the snow leopard, and there's the snow leopard. There's no applying settings, there's no saving settings, everything just happens as you click on it. Then again, if you don't want any nature ones, they have just general pictures to choose from, so you can go with the classic blue. You can go down here to plants, or art. There's lots of art that you can pick up from, black and white photos, which are actually really cool, very artistic. There's also abstract ones and patterns, and actually that one's kind of cool. So it's kind of just whatever you like. I'm going to go back up here and I'm going to move it back to this one because this is the snow leopard one, Aurora. Screensavers, again, if you want a specific screensaver, go ahead in here and you can pick from different ones. I like this one. I don't know how to say the name properly, Abesque or whatever. I think it looks really cool when it happens. You can kind of see a preview down here. You can just have the computer name. You can have the classic flurry, which is always there. You can have iTunes artwork, RSS visualizer. You could have a shell. Well, that's actually kind of cool. Spectrum, so it goes through the colors, and word of the day. So it's really whatever you want. You can even go through pictures too. So you can find your picture sets, and it can go through picture sets. So I'm going to go back up here and click what I like. And you can also change the screensaver time. So if you want your screensaver to go off in 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hour, never. It's all up to you to set those settings. So those are kind of how I like them. So we're going to go back. And your dock, this is another one that I find key, or that I like to change. This can vary on person, and I'm just showing you the settings that I like to do. You can change the size of your actual dock. So if you start sliding, you can see the dock getting bigger, the dock getting smaller. I kind of like it right about there. I like it kind of small, and I like to turn magnification on. Magnification makes the applications kind of blow up. If I turn magnification off, you can see that they just down there, and they just hover what the application name is. So that's how I like it. You have 3 positions to pick from. You can have it on the left-hand side, which is kind of cool. You can have it on the bottom, which is default, or on the right-hand side. It's kind of just user preference again. I'm going to keep it on the bottom. The minimize effect is how your window minimizes. There's the genie or the scale effect. Again, just experiment with those settings. You can minimize windows and applications, or have them in the right-hand side sidebar, kind of right where this folder is where when you minimize them, those will all appear. I like it minimizing actually into the application icon, because it actually helps organize stuff a little bit better. Animated openings, and again, user preference, and auto hide and show the dock. So if you have a limited screen real estate, you can actually click it and it'll hide it. You just hover back here and it pops back up. So that's if you have a limited real estate, but I'm fine with what I have. I'm just gonna bump that up a little bit more. Another thing that I found really useful, before I have a Mac, you kind of really looking or you're actually running out of space a lot, which can be kind of tricky. So there's expose and spaces. You can choose active hot corners, so you have a whole list of all windows, application windows, desktop, dashboard, spaces, start screensaver, disable screensaver. You have all of these settings, and what this happens is when you hover over a corner, whatever you've set for that hot corner will actually appear. So it kind of really just depends how you set it up. You can see I can show my dashboard when I go to the upper right. I start my screensaver when I go to the bottom right, spaces in the bottom left, and nothing in the upper left. So again, all whatever you want to do. To activate expose, you can create different keystrokes, hotkeys, whatever you want to show your dashboard. You can click a key to show what your dashboard. So it's all what you want to do. Spaces is what I find is very interesting and cool. It actually allows you to have multiple desktops. So I believe you'll be able to see this when I go to, I think it's the upper right. Nope, it's to the left. Never mind, it's down here. There we go. So you can see I have multiple spaces here. You can see I have my settings in the upper right space. I have nothing in these spaces. So when you have applications, you can actually drag applications from space to space and organize your applications in that matter of aspect. So we're going to come back here. You can have lots of spaces. You can create however many rows you want. I believe it's up to a 4x4 square, so you can have up to 16 spaces. Kind of give you an idea of what 16, oops, whatever. I forget sometimes, 16 spaces. So if you're really kind of productive, you have 16 spaces to pick from. I kind of just like a 4x4. One more there. There you go. I like 2x2. You can show it in the menu, so you can quickly and just easily clicked on the wrong one. You can quickly go through your spaces, so if you don't have a hot corner set up. but I do, so I like to leave that off. You can click to activate spaces. You can assign applications to spaces, which is really cool. And assigning applications to spaces will allow you to really kind of get in there. And so when you launch a specific application, it'll go to that space, so you don't have to drag it every single time, which is really cool. Going back, language and text. So if you have a different language, if you chose the wrong language or you want to change the language, you can go in there, change it. Just really quick settings. You can have format settings, so change it to a different format, input sources. It's all right there for you to mess around with. You have security settings. Go over here to general. We'll start with general. One thing that I do really encourage is so that if you don't get your Mac stolen, or if you do, that you do a required password immediately after sleep or screensaver begins. So it's like locking your computer. So right after your screensaver begins, it will require them to enter a password, which is really nice. I have these settings locked, so I can go ahead and unlock these settings. You can see I can disable automatic login, require a password to unlock system preferences pane. You can have all these security settings. File vault, if you're really kind of stickler about people accessing your information, actually enable file vault, and what it is it actually locks down your hard drive so that you have to enter a master password to start up the computer and to access the computer, apart from having your user account. So it has all of your data that's encrypted. And I have an external firewall, but you can go ahead and actually turn on a firewall if you want to. And you can start blocking applications, and you can go in advance and see allow connections and all that. So you can go ahead and kind of play with your firewall settings. I just keep it off just because it's nothing that I really need to get into. It's if you're struggling with something or you can't get anything to connect, go in there and kind of see if you can get it in there. Spotlight searches. So this is kind of really just searching for Spotlight, which is up here in the upper right. For your Spotlight search, you can choose where to search, and you can actually choose the privacy of searches, so you can prevent Spotlight from accessing locations where you don't want it to search in folders. You can also enable a menu shortcut key, which is always there, and a Windows keyboard shortcut key, so if you have a Windows keyboard, you can still access Spotlight. All right, going back, we're going to hardware now. CD and DVDs will just show you your DVD drives and ask you you can set what to do when you insert a CD or DVD, and it asks you what you want to do. So those are just simple settings that you can help set up. If you have multiple displays, you can, this window will actually display on every screen that it detects. So you can actually set each display together without having to switch through them. So since I only have one display here, you can only see this one on my screen. I can choose a resolution. I can choose how bright it is. I can say to automatically adjust the brightness. I can do color. So if I have a different color screen or I need to match a specific color, I can easily do that within this tool, and I can calibrate and open custom profiles. I can detect displays. I can gather stuff. I have a whole bunch of features within here, and this is just kind of just the first layer just to get you going, and you can explore a whole lot more after this. Energy saver. So if you want to be that really kind of self-conscious person about going green and everything, but you still need to use a computer, you can tell your computer when to go to sleep. You can tell your display to go to sleep, both on battery and the power adapter. So I have it never going off when it's on the power adapter, because usually when I'm on the power adapter, I'm always using it. When your display goes to sleep, spin down the hard disks, you have all these settings. You can restore to defaults. You can actually schedule your PC to actually wake up and go to sleep at certain times of the day, which is really nice. So you can have it started up and ready to go, like right when you wake up at 6 a.m. or something. If you have a MacBook Pro, This is something to have, the graphics switching. So I have a MacBook Pro and it actually has two graphics card in it. It's an Intel graphics card, which is integrated into the motherboard, and you have a NVIDIA graphics card. And what that is that when it actually doesn't need the power of the NVIDIA graphics card, it will actually switch over to the Intel graphics card just for those low process moments. It actually saves a lot of power, especially when you're on a battery life like I am. Going back here, keyboard, you can set up your keyboard, you can set up what all the keys do, which is really nice. You can set up keys and hotkeys for your docks, for front row, so if you're using front row or spotlight or services, there's a whole lot of settings in there. And if you happen to not like how your key setup is, you can change the key repeat rate, the delay until repeat, use F1, F2, F3, all those keys as standard keys instead of the hot keys that there already are. So your illuminated keyboard you can turn on and off. You can show your character view of all these settings here that you can quickly and easily go through. Mouse, I don't have an external mouse set up, so this is only if you have a Magic Mouse or whatever it's called, the mouse pad, Magic Mouse Pad. I gotta correct me on that one because I kind of forget what it's called. Magic Trackpad, there you go. So you can connect it here. It'll start searching through it through the Bluetooth connection, and you can easily get it set up. Right here, you can customize settings for your trackpad. This is really cool. You can show the track speed, the double click speed, and the scrolling speed. You can customize that. You can see here one finger, so you can activate tap to click, secondary click. You can tell secondary click what to do, so it can be in the bottom right or bottom left corner. You can show how to scroll. You can do it with inertia or without inertia. I like inertia because it's fun when you need to scroll long pages. Pitch to clune, zoom. You have all these settings here that you can quickly go through. And you can come down here to set up Bluetooth trackpad. I don't have one, so I don't need to do that. If you have a print and fax machine, a printer or a fax machine, you can go in here and add it and search for it. I don't have one connected, so I can't really do that right now. Sound, so you can just mess with your sounds. You can actually see my mic levels right here, my output sounds. Here's output, your sound effects. So if you don't like the dink that the Apple computers do, you can do whatever you want it to do. Mobile Me, you can get into Mobile Me here. You can put in your member name, your password, or if you don't have it, click on the Learn More button and you can actually sign up for it, which it will be free coming out here in the next couple of months, which is really cool. If you're on a network, you can set all this up. You can see I have my airport connected right now. I'm on wireless. You can configure your Ethernet. You can configure your FireWire for everything internet related. And there's a whole bunch of advanced settings there with like wireless networks, setting up everything. So if you really need to get into nitpicky everything, which I don't usually need to, so I don't mess with this setting. Your Bluetooth settings. So if you don't really have any Bluetooth devices that you're going to put on your Mac, you can actually just go in and turn this off, which is very nice. You can put in Discover mode, always or never. It's up to you again. It's all user preference. Sharing is where you can set up your computer name. You can see my computer name is 0. And you can turn on DVD sharing. You can turn on all these features. You can ask to allow. You have all these settings that you can change, which I don't need to right now. They're kind of pretty all self-explanatory, which Apple has done really good on that. Here you can, in accounts, you can set up multiple accounts. I just have my account right now, or you can actually activate a guest account. You have logon options. Right now it's locked down, so you can't change any options. You can see what to start when you log on, all that stuff. So you can, if you have multiple people accessing your computer. In date and time, you can set the date and time if you're in a different time zone and it actually hasn't detected it yet. You can quickly go in here and set the date and time, time zone in the clock display, so you can actually have it display as an analog clock up here on the upper right, or a digital clock. And you can click settings like display the time within seconds, flash the time separators, use a 24-hour clock, show AM, PM, show date of the week, show date. You have all the settings that you can quickly and easily go through. You can actually announce the time too, so a computerized voice will actually tell you that what time it is. And you can see right now that I'm running on reserve batteries, so I'm going to keep this video going and still talk to you guys while I set up my power adapter, which is really quick to set up because it's really neat. I thought I'd have a little bit more time to talk to you guys and in this video before I had to plug it in. One thing about my MacBook Pro is what I'm really trying to do. I'm really trying to not unplug it, use it for a half an hour and plug it back in. That tends to hurt the battery. So what I like to do is I actually like to run the battery empty before I charge it again. And as soon as it's charged up all the way, I'll just leave it plugged in so it doesn't really use the battery. It actually will bypass the battery and power the computer directly. So I'm going to reach over here and plug it in. And we're going to plug in the neato little magnetic power adapter over here. And now we're good to go. So we shouldn't have any troubles from now on. Again, announcing time, you can easily do that. We've gone through that. Parental control. So if you're a parent watching this video and you're giving your kids a Mac and they're a little bit underage, maybe 13 or 12, and you really kind of want to make sure that they don't do anything bad or can't access specific applications, you can actually create specific accounts and specific settings and filters to filter out stuff that you may not want your kids to be able to see or view or access. So that's all in there. You just open your account and you set up the account that is going to be under the parental controls, and that you can see that a little bit more once you have multiple accounts. Do mind you though that you have to have a secondary account to do this. You cannot have one account because it's really hard to kind of have a administrator account that's locked down. So you need to have multiple accounts. Software update, self-explanatory. You can see when to schedule updates. You can check them now if you really want to. So you can see last checked was today. There weren't any updates. You can check for updates weekly, daily, monthly, whenever you want to try to install updates. Remember though, it's really good to keep your computer up to date with all the updates that they provide. You can download the updates automatically or download them when you want to. And there's also the installed software, so you can see what the updates were since you've installed your Mac. So you can see I had a Mac OS update, iTunes update, iWeb update, Aperture trial. I downloaded Aperture, Thunderbolt update, firmware update. So you'll get all of your updates right there, which is very nice. And we have speech. So if you need speech recognition, you can turn this on here. You can calibrate the microphone, tell it when to listen. So if you have trouble navigating, it's quick and easy to navigate it with your voice rather than your hands. Also text-to-speech as well. So if you need something read off text-to-speech wise, you can easily go in there and tell it to speak to you. So I'll play the system voice so you can kind of get used to it, so you don't get scared when it actually speaks to you.
Most people recognize me by my voice.
So that is system voice Alex. Moving on, startup disk. So I have a MacBook Pro, so obviously I only have one disk in here, but if you have a iMac maybe with 2 disks or a Mac Pro, or you have an external disk plugged in, you can actually boot, tell your computer to boot from it. So you can see I have my Macintosh HD hard drive in there right now. Or if you have a network, you can start it from the network. Again, if you're getting into these types of settings, then you probably already know what you need to do. So don't worry about that. Time Machine is centralized backup. So you can back up your system, incremental backups. Time Machine will keep track of that. I have not gotten a drive for backups, but I will soon. It's going to be a 2 terabyte drive, which will be pretty nice. But you can turn Time Machine on in here and set up your backup disk so that it can keep updates, and it will probably do daily updates and weekly updates. And it has a really nice interface when you actually get into it, where you can actually view your updates in incremental times. So that's pretty neat. You're just going to switch it on there. Universal access is for people who have handicaps and they need for something to happen like zooming or voiceovers or your display. So if you need to switch around your display, if you have some eye problems, you can do it in there. One thing though that I do recommend is enable access for assistive devices, which some applications might actually require you to turn this on for if you're gaming and you use an application like Ventrilo. It'll actually have you turn this setting on so that you can use push-to-talk keys. So keep that in mind. And you have hearing, you have your keyboard, your mouse and trackpad. So you have a whole bunch of settings in there. And I'm not going to get into too much right now, but if you are handicapped, you can go in there, and I'm sure most of that stuff will be self-explanatory for you. That's it. Universal access was the last one on the list, and I thank you guys for listening to what I had to say. Hopefully I wasn't rambling on too much there. Just wanted to go over the system preferences for you guys so you can get yourself a little bit more familiarized with your Mac. I am a kind of first generation Mac user, so I'm learning my way just like you guys, but I am getting up there really quickly. I've already mastered all the keystrokes, all the hotkeys, and how to do everything. So if you have any questions for me about your Mac, or if you just have any technology questions in general, email me, Creighton@logiclounge.com. You can follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/Creighton, and visit our technology blog where you'll find this video and a whole bunch more tutorials and tech news at logiclounge.com. Until next week, we'll see you guys later.